Hello and welcome to Enterprise Apps Pod number 22 episode. So we have a double header today, Robert Kramer and Melody Brue. We just got off of our Game Time Tech podcast. We're back on another one. Mel, how you doing? It's been just a hair of a few minutes, but here we are.
Here we go, back to back. We're like double header today. The first we had sports, now we got Enterprise Apps. Let's go.
It's so fantastic. We got some great stuff to talk about. We have Box, we have Commvault, we have Salesforce, we have QAD, Microsoft. So I guess we can just jump right into it. Just briefly, Robert Kramer, Melanie Brue, both VP and principal analysts. Mel handles workplace, enterprise apps and modern work, HCMs, customer experience. I handle ERP, enterprise data, bunch of other stuff. But anyway, here we are. We're going to pull it all together. We're going to have a good time. Just real quick, the show's for information and entertainment purposes only. While we'll be talking about publicly traded companies on the show, its content should not be taken for investment advice. So Mel, that was a little quick, but hopefully you're doing good. And where should we start?
Let's start with Box Extract GA. So big announcement. Box announced this actually. The original announcement was done at BoxWorks, but now Box Extract is now GA, and this basically just does all of the metadata for you. So everything that is basically missing from data from unstructured data that makes it unusable for AI is now available. So it's really, this is not just another AI feature. It's actually something way more fundamental happening here. It's not about like search or summarization. They've actually built this so enterprises can pull structured data out of unstructured documents at scale.
So the thing that caught my attention is that they're using this full stack approach. So Gemini from Google, Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI models. So that's pretty interesting compared to some vendors who just pick one.
Yeah, and they're constantly adding them. It's amazing. Like something will launch and then Box will have it within like a couple of days. So they start testing using really moving fast on that, and then they make it available. So I think that's really where it becomes practical, because you can create these custom extract agents for specific business. So like insurance companies can automatically pull data from claims on hospital bills. Media teams can extract writer names, version numbers, scene keywords from production files. So it's all really configured to understand the documents.
So these extract agents just run automatically or against content in Box, or how does it necessarily work?
Yeah, so you set them up in specific folders and they run at scale. So the metadata gets stored right in Box, which means that it powers dashboards and automation and better search. And a couple of examples, the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles, everybody loves their DMV, is using it to automatically extract key information from forms and records. So it reduces that manual work. So things like permits, license, things like that. It helps them to cut back on the amount of paperwork that they're able to do, or that they have to do, so that they can deliver their services to the public. Valmark Financial Group, they're using like 250,000 data points from insurance policies, account forms, different illustrations, to be more efficient and accurate. And one of the things I actually just wrote, I published a research note earlier this morning about Box Extract, and I'm working on something bigger, kind of industry-wide, of why this is important. But it's very similar actually to something that we talk about in terms of these models understanding context and language. So this isn't just OCR. It's not just recognizing characters. They're actually recognizing, am I talking about a financial document? So like we've talked about in tennis, where the word slam means something different in tennis than it does just in some regular context. So with Box Extract, they're able to, like the word trust in a financial document means different than something in trust and security.
Right.
But they're able to train the model to understand the context of your data, extract that even from forms that have like photocopies of photocopies. If you think about it, financial services, those forms and things go back years, and they have to keep them for compliance issues. So they're able to extract the metadata and then make that information more usable. This is really important for that kind of documentation at scale.
So it's not just about speed, it's about maintaining the quality, the security, and accelerating work.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's exactly the way that Box positions this. It's part of their broader vision for making content actually do work in your business. It's not just, they're not storing content, right? And that's kind of where Box was positioned for a while, was really as like a content storage. And now it's really intelligent content management. So this is a big one. So it just went GA today, but it's been, customers have been using it and they're seeing really great results. So
Great.
big announcement for the day.
Well, let's continue with the good stuff. So Commvault Unified Data Vault. So Commvault's moving to infrastructure and data resilience. So Commvault announced actually earlier this week something that feels like it's been missing from the ecosystem for a while, and it's built around S3.
So explain to me S3 and why they're building S3 compatible service.
Sure.
And is that different than standard S3?
No, it's around S3. So S3 is their simple storage service. It's businesses use it and developers use it to store and retrieve data from anywhere on the internet. So from that perspective, they built their own S3 compatible managed endpoint. So the problem they're solving is that a lot of developers are just dumping database backups to S3 from different platforms, but there's no consistency, no retention policies, no immutable ability to control it, and it's all fragmented. So this is all about, handling that type of a nightmare. So the compliance isn't really set up as well as it should be. So the Unified Data Vault allows you to write directly to that S3 endpoint, which solves a lot of those problems. So the moment data lands there, it automatically gets encrypted, which is a big deal. Deduplication, immutability, and the policy-based governance is all put in place. There's no agents to install. There's no complexity. That's the center of this announcement.
So is this is this primarily for AI teams, or is it a more broad play?
Yeah, it's more broader. So AI workloads are explicitly called out. S3 is becoming the default storage for a lot of AI training data and application data. So Commvault's basically saying, protect it the way enterprises need to be protected, agentless, immutable, and centralized policy control. So their CTO called it enterprise-grade cloud protection built for the builder. So we'll see how it goes. And
builder. That's good, catchy marketing language. Okay, so we're kind of doing rapid fire here because we got back to back. But when does this land? When is it available?
They just can't announce it, but it will be GA this spring. So we'll see how it goes. But they're making it available for their partner ecosystem, their MSPs, resellers, cloud service partners. So it's a smart move, and we'll see how it goes. So we have Salesforce next.
Yeah, so this one's gotten a lot of attention, and understandably. So Salesforce just released its new Slackbot for GA. We're kind of having like this GA new announcement. Like, I like this kind of new news cadence, right? But yeah, I think there's something important here about what enterprise AI actually looks like in practice. And as you know, Slack is many people's work interface.
Mm-hmm. Well, so the core idea is that Slackbot lives inside Slack, right? So there's no separate interface, there's no learning curve, there's nothing new to adopt. So employees just ask it things in a conversational language. Do you use it, by the way, or do you like it? What do you think?
I do. Yeah, actually, we were kind of standardized on Slack at my previous company, and with the 6.5 Media, which is our media umbrella arm for anybody who doesn't know that. We use Slack for that too. Right. So I think when you're used to it, oh, sorry about my stomach growling. And we need
Back after this.
we need noise cancellation here. This is what happens when we go back to back on recording. So when you use it and it becomes that really familiar, like it is your interface for work, it's it's so simple and you really get to know it. What I've heard though from other people who don't use it is when they first start using it, they think it's more of like a developer tool because it's like you kind of have to know some commands. But I think Slackbot and all of the various integrations that they have now has made it so much more usable. Where it's
Mhm.
just there's no learning curve. You're right in there.
Crazy,
And
yeah.
now with Slackbot, it knows your context. So when you live in Slack and that's where your documents are, that's where maybe you file a Jira ticket there, you do all of your interactions. And one of the things I really like about Slack, they have these like bots where you can celebrate somebody's success. You can there's like this taco bot, you can give tacos for like somebody did something good. I mean, there's lots of things that keep it really interactive. And I think that's important for the employee experience. But in terms of for what Slackbot does is that it doesn't start from zero context like a lot of AI tools do, where you have to kind of feed it all this information. You've got to upload PDFs and documents and give it the right prompts. It already knows you. It understands your Slack conversations, your files, who you work with, what you have access to. So that built-in context changes a lot of what you're dealing with and with trust and accuracy. I think what you have to be careful there is making sure it excludes the things like, say there's a movie channel, because there's all kinds of channels in Slack that employees use, maybe even employee resource groups. So it has to be able to delineate between what is business conversation and what is more like, hey, we're just chatting, like you and I might be talking about Anna, your daughter. And like it may come up with, AI can hallucinate and it may decide that Anna needs a raise.
Right, right.
So
So
yeah.
it's not just the general AI assistant dropped into Slack. It's a personal agent configured specifically for employees' work or
Yes. Yeah. And that's really how they're positioning it is it's the front door to this broader agent force ecosystem. So as companies build out other agents like sales agents, customer service agents, Slackbot becomes that unified conversational intelligence that connects all of your work.
okay. And so should we continue on to the Forbes article and talk this for a
Yeah,
second about that?
so you just published, we were talking about something I published this morning for Box. We've been busy with all our publishing early in the year. We're at it. So yeah,
So
what
we
did you
talk
write about?
yeah, we talk about data all the time and how that, how we can prepare for AI. And so Forbes, I have a Forbes article published today about Salesforce's latest state of data and analytics. And I kind of go into detail of where the state of data is with most enterprises. It says about 84% of all data leaders say that their data strategy needs to be reset for AI to work. So that,
Yeah.
and really the part I really like is it's not a tooling problem, it's a structure problem. So
Mhm.
most of these companies, AI is not failing, it's your data that's failing. So I would advise, if people could read up on that article, they'll get a little bit more about it. But I'm a big fan of what they about what Salesforce published about data and where it's at for most enterprises.
That's good to have that kind of data to inform decisions. I think that we've heard a lot about how many AI pilots are failing or have failed, and so it's like okay, that McKinsey fact has been, or maybe it's not a fact, that McKinsey number has been around quite a bit, but I think we need more context of like what's happening,
Right.
and
Good point.
these types of things they really help with that. I think so. Great. That's linked in the show notes, and I know it. I think it like literally just published right before we started, so I will give it a read.
Thank you.
And
So
another big announcement, QAD.
yeah, so QAD
Excited.
is a is a major ERP company, and they have a talking just announced about one of their first customers, major customers, to go live on their new QAD adaptive ERP, which is company's called Tenneco. It's a global automotive manufacturer. And this matters because it's this discrete manufacturing ERP implementation, which is a large, mature market for manufacturers. Basically, discrete manufacturing is a company that might have like thousands and thousands of products that are component SKUs that they put together to make a product, like an automotive supplier, or could be even a defense manufacturer. So to put that in place, what that means is to actually implement that in a short period of time is very challenging. So this announcement is based upon them going live in a short period of time on QAD's adaptive ERP, which is more of an event-driven system that's in the cloud.
So before we wrap up this thing, I'm really curious because I think that ERP has come up, and obviously you talk a lot about it more, but what's changing now with AI, with all of this kind of data sensitivity and security and everything? What do people have to look at and prioritize when they're looking at modern ERP platforms now? That's a loaded question, but
It's a great question. I think, QAD is one of the many companies that are striving for the end result that you just talked about. How do you modernize? A lot of these companies want to modernize, but they need to trust that modernization strategy or that transformation. And it all comes down to the data and the AI. So the next generation of ERP is focused on systems of action versus systems of record. Past ERP systems have been mostly on premise, where it was more of an after fact of recording information. With the QAD system that I'm talking about is more of a system of action, that it's more of an event driven agentic AI system to actually take the bull by the horn and actively execute off of information and data. And I think that's the key. It goes back to that industry 5.0, where the humans and the robots work together based upon the information and the data, so that it can actually execute in real time. And I think that's the real key. And we all want that. And it even folds into Salesforce's research showing that this data is not at the level it needs to be for these enterprises to actually execute some of these modern systems, whether it's ERP or SaaS or CRM or HCM. They need to actually have the data in order to be able to take advantage of all these great innovations. So
yeah, and really it also connects back to box extract, right? Because you really have to have all of the data of the data, right? So you've got to have all the metadata in order to properly use these documents. And it goes to Slackbot too. I mean, this is really like kind of an unintended theme we have here. Because we're kind of covering these big news announcements of the week and things that are happening, but they really are connected.
Yep.
All right, before we wrap up, I'm really excited about this one actually, because I want to, in our More Insights and Strategy weekly newsletter, if you don't subscribe, you should. Each analyst puts together kind of insights for the week, but at the beginning of the year, we each made some kind of predictions for the year. And one of them that I made was really around the tension in sustainability and the tension between data center growth and residential kind of electricity and water costs, really redirecting the sustainability conversation around large enterprises more to business value, and also how it affects the community. And so this really connects to that. So Microsoft yesterday made an announcement, yesterday or the day before? Yesterday, I think. Launched this community first AI initiative, infrastructure initiative, sorry. And it's so in line with that prediction that I was really excited to see it and excited to hear about it. They did a live stream out of Washington, DC, and there were some really compelling things that they're doing that I think that are really needed, and I was happy to see. So.
It sounds great, and the impact can be measured, I guess. And I think that also when you talk about sustainability, it kind of dropped off a little bit last year, but I think it is a main play for a lot of companies and should not leave their visions, because I think it's a strategic part of what these companies should be doing. But so how does this actually, how do you measure it?
Well, so they've made like 5 concrete commitments. First is they're going to pay for the full electricity cost for the data centers, so it doesn't flow through the residential customers, which that's been a problem. We've seen in Texas electricity bills spike because of data centers and grid strain, and we talked recently about just new legislation that is kind of put in place because of that. But Microsoft is just saying, like, we're going to pay this. We're not going to have communities foot the bill. But they also they're going to commit to being water positive, so more water replenished back into local systems. One of the speakers yesterday talked about even going into like the city's infrastructure and finding places where there's leaks that they can help fix, that there's things that they can help. So it's more than just an infrastructure commitment. They're committing to jobs and workforce development. It's really just that it's like, if you want to build AI infrastructure at scale that we need, communities have to feel that the gains outweigh the costs, and that's
Yep.
more than just creating jobs. It's managing the actual physical and financial impact on people's lives. And so this is an infrastructure story that I really like, and I think we'll continue to watch from, the data center side, which is Matt on our team, who is way smarter than I am with anything to do with the data center and the infrastructure. But I do think that this is a really important story that needs to be told, is how these data centers and how they're able to do all the things that we've been talking about the last 4 or 5 topics with all of this AI compute. They need the data centers, they need to be sustainable, and we need to have communities that are bought in and not compromised because of it.
Yes.
And so
It sets a precedent for future ones to be built and how they can tweak it to be better. So it's a good
yeah,
start to what they're trying to do for the
yeah.
communities and for
And
their
there was a
customers.
panel yesterday that was really interesting about, just the build outs of these data centers and the changing of the data centers that need to happen over time, and how that will also spur jobs. So it was, kind of a positive. And, you always got to take these things with a grain of salt. Is this a marketing thing? Is it a PR thing? But net, I think very positive and a good way to look at things. And with that, we got to wrap up because it is now end of time. So
Thank you.
thanks everybody for joining us. There anything you want to hear more about, less about, have a comment about something, hit us up, let us know. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.